Next thing you're going to spend some money on that I really feel that you should would be magazines. Getting more magazines. Now I think in the initial we said 3, I believe, and so we want to get 3 more. 6 magazines for effective training I think is pretty important. Some can say less than that. I just don't feel that's the case. I think you should have more magazines than that. It's also just going to make it a little bit more convenient. If your time is limited at an indoor range, say there's a line to get in there and you can't spend very much time, or perhaps you are at an outdoor range where it's cold or warm, you may want to load those mags up ahead of time and just be ready. Or even if you go out and shoot those 6 mags, but you know you're going to reload them multiple times, take those 6, go sit back in your vehicle where it's warm, reload them up right there, then go out and do more training. Now, magazines aren't cheap. This is a cheap magazine. This is Pro Mag. I think it's focusing on that. We'll see. And it's not worth it. This is $20, but it just doesn't feed as well. It doesn't eject as well. The feed lips are a little bit sharp. This is just not the best. Same thing here. Now, I think I talked about it in the last video. This is a cool magazine. It's 40 rounds. Everybody thinks this is cool. When it's loaded up, it's interesting, the heft that is there. It feels cool to shoot that many rounds, but you're not getting a lot of training value out of that. Just the fact that when you're shooting this gun, you have a certain balance to it, okay? Now, the difference between 15 rounds and 1 round in the gun is noticeable, right? But as you're shooting this gun, you're developing a grip off of that. You're developing, where your hand is lined up. You're gripping the gun a certain way. If you change that up, it's going to, well, it's going to change things, right? Now, the difference between 1 round and 15 rounds in the mag as far as weight is something you just get used to, okay? But the difference between 1 round or even 15 round and 40 rounds is not something that you necessarily need to get used to. Think of it that way. The gun is going to handle oddly different with this mag in there. Now, I don't have it loaded up. I don't really shoot this way very often. It's actually my wife's magazine. But shooting it this way, for one, you're going to look like a gangster. Okay, maybe that's good or bad. But all that extra weight is messing with the way you train. And that's not the purpose. Also, it is unlikely, but someone could make the case that you would have this for self-defense situation. I would challenge people to show me a situation where even a 30 rounder was what was needed to stop the threat. Okay. But what it is that we do want, $60 worth of magazines. Now here we have 3 15 rounders. Yes, I have numbers on there. So let's talk about that. Why would you have numbers on your magazines? Why does that matter? It doesn't matter a lot, but it matters a little bit. If you are having magazines if you buy all the same magazines, which is good, you should consider doing that, and you go through them and one of them is not working properly, one is goofy, something is wrong, you might not notice which one it is. You might not recognize that it doesn't lock back on that. You might just think, oh, that's just a fluke, or the ammo's a little weird, or my grip was bad, it didn't lock back on the last round. But if you notice, hey, if I load 6 mags up and I go out and I shoot them all, and 1 mag out of those 6 is not locking back, and then next time, oh wow, 1 mag out of 6 didn't lock back, you want to see which one that is. I'm not saying that it is imperative that your gun lock back on every magazine. What I'm saying is that your training should be predictable. You don't want extra variables put in there. You don't need to be surprised. You shouldn't be surprised by a magazine locking back or not, one way or the other, right? So figure out which mag it is that's giving you trouble. And then the way to do that is by labeling them. You can use marker, okay? You can use like a silver marker or something and mark right on there, but that's gonna get wiped off fairly easy. Just using little labels is easy enough. There's value in doing the same thing over and over again, and a lot of gun bags will have six magazine slots, pouches, I guess, in the bag. And if you always fill those up, those 6 mags, at the end of your range trip, make sure you have them all there so you know you didn't drop one or lose it or whatever. Lastly, while this is a magazine that you might want to use, okay, so this is a 17 round M&P mag. I guess it's my 26th 17 round mag, I don't really know. But this has a sleeve on the bottom, and it is set up to run in the 15 round guns, okay? The compact guns, full size mag in a compact gun, and this little sleeve on the bottom. Now I've actually taped it on there, I don't know if you can see that, but I've taped that so that it stays on there a little bit better. So back to what I was saying about your shooting grip. If you're used to a 15 round grip, and then you put a 17 rounder in there, it isn't even about the weight so much, it's about where your hands line up. And with time, you'll probably notice that depending on the mag, your dot will line up or it'll be a little bit low or a little bit high. That is something you'll probably notice over time. Why that exactly is, people smarter than me can explain that, but that is just kind of a thing sometimes. Now you can buy used mags, secondhand or surplus, police trade-in. There's plenty of good OEM mags that you can spend less money on, or even pawn shops. I've gotten a decent number of mags at pawn shops or gun shows, which are still good OEM mags, which work fine. But you have to determine that risk. If you get a mag for $28 used and you can buy one for $32 brand new, it's probably worth it to just buy a newer mag.